Hello, I'm Mark Hall-Patton. I want to welcome you to the Clark County Museum. You know, I've talked to you in the past about how we change exhibits constantly while you're coming out here, so you always see something new. But sometimes I think you may not know what goes into changing an exhibit. Now, a couple of my staff are working in the chapel today to change some of the costumes on the mannequins there. And we'll go inside and take a look at it. But I want to say a couple of words before we go inside. One of the things you have to do when you're going to change an exhibit is you have to decide what what time period it's going to be, what we're going to be interpreting at that point. Because the Candlelight Wedding Chapel ran for a number of years in its site down on Las Vegas Boulevard, we can pick different decades for the outfits that we have on display. Right now, we're looking at the 1980s. Now, you might not think that the 1980s is long enough ago to be historic, but around here it really is. What we're doing now is actually finishing up on one of the mannequins. What you may not think about is when you're trying to dress a mannequin, they're not really helping you out at all. They are just solid and standing there. So you have to be very careful with how you're doing it. You have to, as you can tell, put the sleeves of the shirt down through the coat before you ever put on the arms. Now, I wouldn't advise doing this at home. Don't take your arms off when you're putting your shirt on. But when you're doing a mannequin like this, you have to do that. Plus the fact that all the outfits that we show here are historic pieces. These are all part of the museum collection. So we are constantly having to be very careful how we do this, how carefully we handle both the mannequins themselves, but more especially the clothing that we are putting on there. Now, as you can tell, we're just putting an arm on, but you wouldn't think about that. You have to take the arm off to begin with, make sure it's the right arm for that side. In this case, it is the right arm, not the left arm. Now, one thing you might notice is my staff is not using gloves while they're handling the clothing, while they're handling the mannequin, and that is on purpose. One of the things that we found is if your hands are freshly washed, it's all right to handle the clothing and that it doesn't leave any residue. And by not wearing gloves, they have much better control over their fingers. There's no chance of slipping, so they have a better chance of not damaging the clothing that they are putting on the mannequin. And once all of that is together, then they have to button everything up, make it look right, so that, as you can see with our bride and groom here, you have to have everything looking like just natural. That's how you would wear this. But all of this has to be done. It does take time. Sometimes when you're out here, because we are open 7 days a week, you will be able to see this happening right before your eyes. If you happen to go into one of the houses or the chapel here, or one of the areas where some of the staff are working, because we work at the same time that you get to come through the museum. Well, I hope you enjoyed that little look behind the scenes of what we do here at the museum. Now remember, we are only open 7 days a week from 9 to 4:30. It is $2 unless you're like me and over 55 or under 18. Yeah, I go in the over 55 side, and then it's $1. So please come out and join us and enjoy this wonderful site.